I think it's safe to say that exercising is one of my favorite things to do in this entire world. And it could literally be any sort of fitness activity, whether that's a sport that I'm playing or have played in the past, like wrestling or track or playing soccer, tennis, rock climbing. I mean, I don't rock climb that much, to be honest. I mean, I haven't rock climbed that much in the past. But, hey, it's a physical activity. Hiking, canoeing, kayaking. Or if it's just exercise for exercise's sake, like increasing your fitness levels, cardiovascular health, strength levels, bone density, maybe. Does exercise help with that? I think hard impact helps with that, right? I don't know. Either way, exercising is one of my favorite things to do. And I've made it I've sort of made it imperative that I do some sort of physical activity every day, even if I've had like a incredibly busy day. Like the other day, a couple weeks ago, I got back home at like 10 or something from a long day out. And in all honesty, I was scrolling on my phone for like an hour and a half before actually deciding that I wanted to go to bed. But then I realized I hadn't done any physical exercise throughout that day. And it was like 11:45 at night at this point. So I was just like, fuck it. Like, let me look up a 10-15 minute band workout, like leg band workout. So I just busted that out, started sweating a bit, took a shower, went to bed. So it's definitely become more of a habit these days to actually get my exercise in, no matter what it is. And before this point, it wasn't like I loved exercise and I loved playing sports, still do obviously, but it wasn't as much of a habit that was ingrained in me. It was like whenever I played sports, whenever I exercised, I enjoyed myself very much and I wanted to do it again, and I wanted to do it every day, but I didn't treat it as like a habit that I needed to improve on or something that was a non-negotiable, a must for every single day. It was more just, hey, if I can do it, I can do it. Or if I can do it, I'll do it. But if I miss a day, then that's okay. That's also something that I want to talk about at some point. The idea of missing a day. And what that does to a person. But that's for another chat. But yeah. Exercise is my everything. And I'm finding it one of the more difficult things to do. I don't know if I want to say difficult, but one of the more frustrating things to do is try and convince somebody that I deeply care about to exercise. And to do any sort of exercise, like walking. It could be like running, walking, weightlifting, whatever, and have them completely shut it down or not really care, not really understand the benefits of what it could do for them. Like increase their longevity, their health and happiness, very basic stuff. So I think it's one of the more frustrating things to present these ideas to somebody, to tell them, hey, it'll make you feel better. Hey, it'll make you live longer. Hey, it'll give you all these great things. Not to treat it as like some sort of false idol, like hey, if you work out, you look fucking sick, like you get jacked as hell. And I've talked before about the reasons why I exercise and how those reasons to exercise have changed over the years. But it is very frustrating to see somebody that you care about not do the simple things that will help them, that will better their lives, to put it simply. And when I was thinking about this earlier, before I started chatting, I was thinking to myself, like, oh yeah, it's too difficult. Sometimes it's just too difficult, and sometimes people just don't want to hear it, or they're not ready to commit, or they're not ready to put in that change. So maybe you should just drop it and wait for them. And like to a degree, I still believe in that. Like, you can't really force anybody to do anything. You can only really make suggestions, and they'll do as they please. You can only give them all the information that you have, and they'll do as they like. But as I was thinking that, I also thought about, like, what sort of advice would I want to hear in a situation like this? There was a YouTuber that I listened to a little while ago who essentially just, like, the whole premise of his videos is to give advice to his younger self, he says. So, like, if I were to give advice to my younger self about convincing friends and family to take care of themselves by way of exercise, by way of implementing even the most basic workout plans, like walking for 10-20 minutes every day, like deliberate walking for 10-20 minutes outside every day. I wouldn't, like, if I were to give myself advice, I wouldn't say to just let it go and let them carry on down that whatever path you want to call it until they inevitably degenerate and their body crumbles. And if it's that serious, I'd probably tell myself to, like, realize that everybody is, first of all, different. So, like, everybody takes, like, you'll probably have to take a different path to convincing somebody to do something for each person that you interact with. So, like, some people respond very well to, I guess, like a brute force tactic, like just laying out the facts and telling them what is and what is not, and then having them, I guess, just decide for themselves. Like, they're very good at deciding for themselves, like, what is actually best for them. But other people will respond to, I guess, just like cooperation in the subject. Like, I'll take my dad, for example. If I feel like that's one of those situations where I could invite him to go on a walk with me rather than just tell him to go for a walk every now and then. I feel like the motivation is probably much more apparent if it's an activity that's, I guess, that his son is incorporated in. But yeah, if I were to tell somebody who's trying to convince friends and families to better their lives through exercise, I'd probably tell them not to quit, not to let up. But also, maybe even more importantly, not to put the entire onus on them. right? So, like, if they do start degenerating, if they do start going down that path, not to put the entire blame on yourself. I know it's good to take ownership for things. And, like, I think that could be a whole nother talk in and of itself. But I feel like there's a line as well, you know, because, like, you got to take ownership for things that you actually can take ownership for, right? Like, there's a whole, like, taking ownership, things that you aren't in control of, things that you should take ownership of, is a subset of all things that could happen. And I'm pretty sure things that you aren't in control of, things that you can't really control, is a much larger group of realities. So, and I think this is one of those realities where, you know, you don't have full control because you can't control what other people do. But with that being said, you can't just lay down and accept defeat and say, fuck it. I told them it's good for them. They don't want to do it. It's not my problem. They can just fucking roll over and die. Like, no, that's not the right mindset. It's not the right mindset at all. So keep trying different ways, I guess. If one way of convincing doesn't work, try another. If they're not the information type, try the sympathetic type. If they're not the sympathetic type, try the companionship type. Yeah. I think that'll be all for now. I'm going to stop walking on this geese shit and go home and wash my feet. I don't know why I always do this. Hey, I'll catch you in the next one.